Good afternoon, Dr. Icwfh.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Prof.
Yeah. Okay, I'm testing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now okay. Okay. Had your lunch?
Yeah, just grabbed it very quickly and finished the prayers.
I see. Okay. I had a chat with Govin and so they say they are in.
Okay.
Hmm.
Maybe another 15 minutes will start. No problem.
Okay, I'll join you. Yeah.
Sure, Prof. Good afternoon, dear all participants. So, welcome to this day 2. We'll just wait for another few minutes, maybe another 10 more minutes before we formally start the session. Welcome, Professor Wu. Thank you for joining us as our special address today. And welcome, Professor Suresh from India as now another special address. Welcome, Syed Fanul Haq. Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Mujibur Rahman. Despite of all the trouble that Afghanistan is going through at the moment, you have joined in from there. I wish everything is okay, or getting better, and you be safe also. That's very important.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Thong.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Mesbaul Alam. Welcome, Mr. Sohail. Mr. Ali Asgar from DD. Thank you very much for joined in. Welcome, Mr. Shafiqul Alam Hilal. Thank you for joining in. Welcome, Mr. Edward. Thank you for joining in. Welcome, Mr. Russell from Australia to have joined in. Thank you. Welcome, Do. I hope you're doing well from China to join in. Thank you. Welcome, Amazad from Canada to have joined in. Thank you. How is the life at the moment in India, Professor Suresh?
Currently, we are also going through a little bad patch.
Okay.
Phase 1 was pretty bad. And then we did have a little lull period for about 3 months. But phase 2 has affected India very badly since April. April, May, June have been pretty bad months. And slowly we are recovering from the shock. There is enough talk about the third wave, which is going to hit India shortly. So things aren't that very bright. Continues to be gloomy. And we all wish and pray that COVID-19 vanishes. But more questions than answers we have. Situation is slightly better. We are happy. Approximately about 50 crore of Indians have been vaccinated out of a population of nearly 135 to 140 crores.
Okay.
Still a long way to go. And
a long way to go.
We are quite positive. Many vaccines have got approved. So we are waiting for better days in the future.
I see. I hope everything turns out to be okay very soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What about conditions in Bangladesh, Syed Fanul Haq?
Now the government has opened up with restrictions let's see what's happened.
Okay,
There's lots of speculation. Is the decision to open up is right or wrong?
I see.
Hope for the best, and the government are concentrating on vaccinating a significant portion of the population within this year, and by this, they think that they can combat this COVID.
Okay,
Hope for the best.
hoping for the best. Yeah, can hope for the best. Dear participant, we'll just start in 5 minutes time. So before that, we'll just have another chit chat.
Yes.
Prof. U is with us here. Prof. U, your view on the Malaysian condition?
Well, we have a lot of controversies. We are trying to open up, and yet, like yesterday, there was a long queue because vaccination is now open to the public. And just outside, I think within Kuala Lumpur, opposite the General Hospital, there was a long queue without social distancing. And jokingly and taking me humorously, it is reflective of our current political situation as well. So we pray that at the end of the day, we are citizens of the country, and we look to better days ahead, God willing.
Okay. Fine. Hopefully we get better off. What about the conditions in Australia, Mr. Russell?
Thank you very much for asking. Our condition is pretty bad now. So I would say from today, we are in lockdowns since last, I think, almost 2 months. And from today, 5 p.m., a couple more restrictions are coming. So, yeah. And we are trying to get vaccinated everywhere as much as possible every day.
I see. Okay. Oripa, are you able to hear me from Zimbabwe? What's the condition in Zimbabwe, Oripa?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you, Prof?
Yes, I am fine. I'm doing good. Hope you are doing fine. Before we
Yes,
start,
I'm doing well.
We have a couple of more minutes. So what's the condition of the COVID situation up there in Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe, we are still trying to get our first dose, but some, I think 10% have already received their second dose, but the situation is manageable.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to hear some positive thing that things are manageable. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Media.
As for now.
Yeah. Fine. Dr. Media, have Dr. Osaro joined in? Did you see him? Not seen him joining yet. Okay.
Mr. Tong, how are you?
Yeah, I fine. Hello. Yeah,
Where are you, Perak or in Johor? Are you in Perak or in Johor?
He's into his plantation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us start our program for the session. Okay, right. Okay, dear participant, our special key addresses for today. Respected attendees, good afternoon from Malaysia. It's a good morning and also a good evening from the other part that you have joined in. Myself, Professor Dr. Asif Mahabub Karim, the co-convener of this international conference on work from home, welcomes you. Where in both the days, yesterday and today, we have 15 paper presentations. Yesterday, we had 8 paper presentations done, and today we will witness 7 more paper presentations done. Plus, we have 2 special addresses today, one from Professor Dr. Icwfh and one from Professor Suresh from India. So I welcome you also on the board at the moment. And this international conference is divided into 4 tracks. Yesterday, we had more on social and psychology and finance track. Today, it is concentrating on the HR and the legal track of it. And the participants of the paper presenters were from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Canada, China, India, Malaysia, Namibia, Sultanate of Oman, Uzbekistan, and Zimbabwe. And of course, the attendees were from all around the globe, starting from Australia to the North America. So I'll say in between all the countries covered, as in the Far East, the Southeast, the Middle East, the Central Asia, the Africa. So we had a very good coverage of the attendees. So truly an international event with global researchers in the e-platform. Binary University was established in 1984 and is a 5-star rated university in Malaysia. Besides producing talented graduates through quality education, Binary University organizes international conferences on a regular basis. This international conference on Work from Home 2021 is organized by the Center of Advancement of Management, CAM. A global survey conducted by Gartner INC found that 88% of the business organizations all over the world mandated or encouraged all their employees to work from home as the virus started to spread at an exponential rates. Furthermore, about 97% of the organizations immediately canceled all work-related travel. 77% of the people working remotely claim to work more productively, according to SoSo As per the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 57% employees in the financial industry can work from home. As of April 2020, 67% of the organizations reported an increase in spending on web conferencing software, according to Statista. And outsourcing amount of 42% of employees with a remote work option plan to work remotely more often in the next 5 years, according to Owl Labs. According to Buffer, 19% of the remote employees report loneliness as their biggest challenge. Altogether, these remote work statistics shows that remote work is here to stay. Working from home has been an upward trend with no potential endpoint in sight at the moment. However, that doesn't mean that it does not come up with fair share of its challenges as well. With no further delay, dear participant, let us start our second day and the final day of the international conference, first with a corporate video on Binary University.
Binary University was established in 1984. It's the oldest business school in Malaysia. The university actually is focused in management, IT and entrepreneurship education.
At Binary University, we believe in producing wholesome students. This means that we focus not only on the academic performance of students and academic activities, but also on non-academic activities.
classes are very interactive. They're very related to what's going on in business and in industry. Students are able to interact with each other, get to know each other. Very often we put them into small groups, small clusters. Maybe if you've got a classroom of 20 students, you may have 4 groups of 5 students. So you may have 4 different case studies, all being analyzed and discussed.
Our university is good for 2 reasons. One is, of course, the academic part of the degrees that we provide is recognized internationally, and we are a specialized university. We produce graduates who are industry specialist professional graduates or ISP graduates. The industry specialization gives graduates the competitive advantage to work anywhere around the world in the industries they have chosen to specialize. And this is the reason why that Binary enjoys the highest graduate employability among all universities in Malaysia. We have 96% graduate employability compared to the national average of 75.
Through this, I met many business people and entrepreneurs who shared their knowledge with me, and I learned many aspects of entrepreneurship from them.
The Asia Center of Entrepreneurship in Binary University has exposed me and my friends to the relevant people in the various industries who have shared with us their experiences, their successes, their failures and fears along their journey on entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much for having a glance about Binary University. Okay, we move on to our main program today, and we're very eager to listen from our special address today by Professor Suresh Raghavendra from Mount Carmel College of India. But let me give it's an honor for me to read out a profile, indeed a brief profile. I can read it on for a long time, but I have a very brief profile to read out. Professor Suresh Raghavendra is currently the Managing Director of Talentine Consulting. He is a visiting professor of the Postgraduate Department of Management Studies, Mount Carmel College. And he is also the consultant for giant corporates like Huawei Technologies, Canara Bank, BHEL, AVTech Engineering, and so on. He worked with organizations in the capacity of HR director in organizations like Hindustan Liver for the Pons as an HR director. And he's also a professional academician, and he has been a visiting professor not only with Mount Carmel, but he's a visiting professor at IIM Bangalore, IIM Kolkata, IIM Lucknow, and XLRI Jamshedpur. To the amaze, he has also written a very good book on prioritizing the performance management. With no further delay, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the person himself to deliver the special address at the opening of day 2. Over to you, Prof. Suresh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asif. I consider it as a distinct honor and privilege to participate in this lovely, joyous 2-day function and to share a few of my thoughts with this lovely elite audience. I just do not know where to begin because you have chosen a very topical topic. I think none can even question as to why we are having a discussion on this lovely topic, because this particular topic has to be discussed, has to be talked, has to be debated. The pros and cons have to be analyzed, because this is something very new for all of us. Till very recently, till very 2 years ago, we used to say children should go out and play. Men and women have to go out and work. Students and youngsters have to go to college, have to go to schools. Suddenly the whole foundation is shaking. And what we were following till about 2 years back was something which we have been doing for centuries together. And all these things got institutionalized into a very systematic format. And it was well established that if we do it in this particular manner only, the health of human beings will be all right. Their personality will be fine. And then their inner potential can be exploded well. The blossoming of the individual will happen very nicely. And we get a feeling that a human being has lived his full life. Suddenly, in the last 1.5 to 2 years, we are all caged. Suddenly, we feel that we are surrounded by cages and we are a little confused. I am also a soft skills trainer, where when I read many books on soft skills training, they say that the contents will only carry about 8 to 10%, the volume, the intonation, the phonetics will carry about 20-30%, but the whole body language of the trainer will carry around 50 to 60%. Now all these things have vanished. Now sitting in a webinar, my hands are becoming useless, legs are becoming useless, my expressions are becoming very useless. How do I entice an audience? How do I see whether they are really participative, or what is the change which I can make when I move along? So suddenly in the last 1.5 years, we have got into something, a very new paradigm. And as Dr. Icwfh came out with so many interesting statistics, I was really amazed. So work from home is going to be the order of the day. It is the new normal. The whole world has completely changed. And the beautiful subject called change management has hit us very powerfully now. All of us, to some extent, we have got used to this change. Some have got it partially done. Some of them, they are almost 70-80%. They've got adjusted to this. Something very strange. Now, the interesting question for us is, are we going to continue like this? Will we not get back the old glorious days? So, I will attempt to give some few thoughts of mine, keeping in mind the two perspectives. One is looking at it from the corporate or the business where I represent. And the second one, when it comes to academics. See, as far as work from home is concerned, it is not new. It was there. And to look at it from the Indian perspective, it was there partially, especially in the field of information technology and software, because as we all know, software you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot feel, but still, you can work from home. That was understood. And therefore, this IT sector and few other sectors took to this work from home like a duck to water. There's absolutely no problem. But few sectors do not represent the whole spectrum of business. For example, in Bangalore, we have the Toyotas who are manufacturing cars. We have Volvos who are manufacturing the buses. Now we have big pharmaceutical companies. How do you work from home? Manual labor. We require people to come to office. A lot of physical activity has to be done. So I think we have to be a little careful when we approach this subject. Not all work can be done from home. Yes, we have to be very careful. What is it that can be done from home? Or partially which can be done from home and partially where there is a necessity to go to office. But we should also remember there are plenty of activities where it cannot be done from home. I think this is something which we have to be a little clear about. Second interesting aspect is when it comes to business, business is complex, business is tough, business is mysterious, business does not have a formula. So businessmen are under tremendous tension in the last 2 years because how do you make the business successful? Interesting point is, again, when it comes to employees, how are we going to measure performance? See, everybody comes to work to get a good name, to get good increments, to get good promotions, but do we have a very good mechanism to measure performance? Again, looking at it from the HR angle, to what extent we can go through this work from home concept to make employees charged and motivated. See, this power of touch is so nice. A warm shake hand, a pat at the back, a warm hug, everything is vanished. How do I motivate my employees? Today, what I'm doing is very funny. We are celebrating the birthday, so online. We are asking him to cut the cake and we're just clapping. We are celebrating wedding anniversaries or online. And attrition management, I'm having a huge problem because unless I sit with the individual and talk to him for a long time, I will not know his problems. Now, suddenly, my 1,500 employees are seated elsewhere. I'm not able to take care of attrition properly. 90% of the human beings, whatever we are completely inside. What you see of me, we are the container, but the contents are inside. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, and then potential, grievances, everything has to come. But I'm finding it very difficult to get to know what is the problem of an employee sitting from online, and that communication, this icebreaker itself takes a long time with the individuals. When I go to an office, I can pat at his back, take him for a coffee, sit with him, make the ground fertile, and then I'm able to get some response to that I can retain him. So we are having a host of very interesting issues when it comes to work from home. But it is the order of the day, and definitely this, as one powerful sentence in English came, no one is safe till everybody is safe. So therefore, this is going to take a little long time. I think by the time the world comes out of this crisis, until that time, we have to see how we could make this work from home still more productive, still more efficient. This has also caused lots of problems with regard to marital relations, husband and wife. Many employees have told me, sir, I'm sick and tired of being at home. I want to go out. My wife is upset with me. I am upset with her. My children are upset with me. My parents are upset with me. And in India, to be honest with you, many of them are staying in small houses. So when they are working, when they're having client call, we can hear the noises being made in the kitchen, and the client telephones and says, Suresh, why are they not behaving properly? But people are staying in 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom houses with about half a dozen people. Interesting challenges we have. Now, just moving on from this picture to academics. Academics, yes, this is again very interesting because I am also a faculty. I have been trained, I have been taught to go to class with energy, enthusiasm, and then do a lot of body language, talk generally, look into the eyes of the students and see whether they are participating. And I keep on altering my lecture depending upon how the student's reaction is, when to crack a joke, when to give an anecdote, when to give a case study. And in case or through body language, through my eyes, I can see whether that student is attentive or not. Now, I'm having difficulty because I do online teaching, but more or less, to be honest with you, the problem I am facing is it becomes more like a monologue instead of that real dialogue. So these are all hundreds of issues which I'm facing, and I find that somewhere that opening up is not happening as it used to happen in the class. So therefore, just to, of course, I should also not exceed my time. My interesting points on this, which I'm sure all of you will debate much more and come out with certain conclusions, and which I will be happy to get it later on from Asif sir also, is now this is something which is going to be there for many more years to come, and nobody knows when exactly all this is going to stop. They say this is a problem of the century. So they say once in a century, such type of things will happen and we have to put up with it. Third interesting point is science and technology today is simply doing a marvelous job, and vaccines which used to take, I'm told, 7 to 8 years, today vaccines are available in 1 year. And I'm sure that in the next, whatever it is, 1 or 2 years, we should be able to get some breakthrough. And I wish and pray sincerely that we come back to the normal way. But in the meantime, since those things are not very clear yet, our responsibilities as faculties, our responsibilities as HR people will be, we have to double our effort or triple our effort in making sure that we do our key roles to the best of our possibility. Today, we cannot just be as what we were 2 years back, reaching out to students and the extra effort which we have to put, and then finding out whether they have understood, developing the potential, listening to their grievances, and then evaluation. See, in India today, what has happened is all those, especially in the state where I am in Karnataka, all those who have passed, who have written the examination have been promoted. So I'm not very sure whether this is a correct system, because we are not able to conduct examinations properly. We have been told to make the examination easy and promote as many people as possible. Now, all these things, temporarily, it is good, but in the long run, I'm not sure whether this will have the desired impact. But concluding remarks, work from home has arrived, it is there, and it is in progress. It is doing its job, and we have all embraced it. Some of us with reluctance, some of us with happiness, some of us with joy. Yes. And as Dr. Asif rightly put it, yes, productivity has also been measured, and to some extent, they are able to see that, yes, productivity is there. But going forward, we have to identify certain other areas where the impact of work from home is not that very great, and try to work on it and look at controllable factors rather than the uncontrollable factors. COVID-19 pandemic, totally uncontrollable. But within us, we are very happy that we have certain controllable factors, and work from home is one solid thing which is keeping the state going, nation going, which is keeping the world going. So we will embrace it to the maximum. We will not slacken on this beautiful golden opportunity of work from home. We have to capitalize on it more and more and more, and make this world definitely a place where, of course, to be honest with you, COVID vanishes. But at the same time, yes, we did face this COVID-19 successfully. So we will all work towards that. I sincerely thank Asif sir and to Binary University for giving me this opportunity to share a few of my thoughts with all of you. Thank you very much, and best wishes for this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Suresh, for those insightful information and an awesome way of delivering those thoughts to us, and which are, of course, very common in most part of the globe. Yeah. So indeed, we all are human beings, and we have to face all these on our day-to-day activities. And indeed, it's very nice to hear from you, sir. Okay. Now, all the way from India, we come on to Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. Our next special address is going to be given by Professor Dr. Icwfh Adjunct Professor of Binary University. Before I introduce Prof, it is my honor and pleasure to just read out few of his credentials, if Prof allows me to do so. Prof. Dr. Icwfh is Kedah bred, Kuala Lumpur nurtured, and USA matured Malaysian who was a teacher trained by the Ministry of Education of the Malaysian Teachers College and graduated with the first degree from the University of Malaya. His life journey has shaped his value since becoming a Ford Foundation Fellow, Fulbright Scholar, and the American Council of Learned Society Scholar, which enabled him to complete 2 master's degree in public admin and education and a PhD in public administration in the mid-70s. His American alma mater includes the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, California, and the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. As an associate professor in the Faculty of Economics and Administration, FEA, University of Malaya, Dr. Wu has a proven record of more than 4 decades of teaching at primary and secondary levels and lecturing and supervision at local and overseas tertiary colleges and universities around the globe. His consultancy experiences include some of the government ministries such as the early MAMPU, MOHLG, Ministry of Education, SIAM Derby, IBBM, the Asian Institute of Chartered Bankers, Malaysian Airlines, to name a few. And still his local university attachments, universities like UKM and UUM, and with his foreign universities affiliations with TSU, Troy State University in the US, and the University of Western Sydney in Australia in the graduate program. He has been an active researcher, publisher of numerous journals globally, and of course, an Academic Achievement Award recipient, as mentioned, from Ford Foundation, Fulbright, American Council, Asia Foundation, Toyota Foundation, Ministry of Education in Malaysia, and the list goes on. With no further delay, I would like to request Prof. Dr. Icwfh to address as a special address for today's Day 2 session. Over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Professor Dr. Icwfh Mahmud Karim, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all attendees, and also some of my mature students who are actually following this program. It is very difficult actually to follow, but I am very pleased to be associated with Professor Suresh Raghavendra, who in his very enlightened, softened way has provided the beginning and the starting of this program. And without this interaction, I would have missed the opportunity of listening to him. So work from home, therefore, has already shown that any other way you do it, there is always a way of meeting somebody, solving something, and doing things more fruitfully. Now, let me start off by also saying the title of Binaries Conference on Hindsight and Scrutiny Perspectives suggests actually a dualistic perspective. First, it concentrates on the challenges, and then the second perspective is on the prospects of work from home. Therefore, it is the reflection of work from home within the result of COVID pandemic. And therefore, this pandemic has spawned challenges. And these challenges, we can encapsulate, put it into one word called DEEP, D-E-E-P, which means disruptive, endangering employment pains, which many, and in fact, all of us who are still gainfully employed are suffering from. On the other hand, It is a reflection of a pandemic and an endemic that overcasts our livelihood, and living. I wouldn't call it lifestyles alone. And all this has then birthed the challenges as well as the prospects for us to overcome. Later in the program, I will present a piece of paper, so I will not go into that. Now, let me put it simply as an opening remark. What is real and what is unreal about working from home? Also, alternatively, actually, now we've shortened it to work from home. Number one, what is real is that work from home is not new. In fact, work from home, as you look into the literature, has already published by many other writers as working from home. But then working from home was actually a choice among the employees and also the owners of production houses, so on and so forth, that instead we are going to balance a work life that is up to a certain number of hours of work, weekly, monthly, yearly. I am going to take my vacation. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going on a leisure trip, either alone or whatever else he or she does. But it is a choice. Today, however, work from home is not a choice. It's a compulsion. So the opposite of choice now is a compulsion. We are compelled, for example, to working from home for not reasons of having a work-life balance, but actually for safety reasons, for legal reasons, because if we fail to comply, we will be fined and then put in jail. And for once, it may not be a criminal offense that we are being put in jail. And then the other part of it is there are a lot more SOPs, standard operating procedures from various ordinances yet to be approved. So the compulsion of working from home subjects us to stresses, and many of them have called it mental stresses, psychological stresses. I wouldn't go into all the detail. So you see the difference is working from home originally was a choice. Working from home today is a compulsion. So the reality is one is a choice where you can exercise an option. The other unreal situation is you cannot exercise your choice. You are compelled to adopt options provided by the circumstances, the law, and whatever else. The best example would have already been so humorously and quite well put by the previous speaker before me. Now, the second aspect, okay, that's the general umbrella. The second aspect, which the previous writer or the previous speaker puts it under academic. I'm more onto the academic side. So I will just say we are now caught between teaching learning and learning teaching. The first teaching learning is offline, online, hybrid, whatever you call it. Many of the staff, therefore, knowingly or unknowingly, prepared or otherwise, have to subject to the use of IT and whatever other technologies to share their expertise, deliver their lectures, minus all the signages which was pointed out, facial expressions, whatever of anger, laughter between students and stuff. The second part, learning, teaching, are both experienced by the students and the staff. Because how do you communicate given the number of hours confined, say, within the normal classroom, morning till evening, and with students sometimes impinging upon lecturers or professors, even after office hours, and perhaps some mature students sharing a midnight conversation over WhatsApp and telephone call. So these are new normals under work from home. So I would say and conclude, if work from home is not new, the previous value that we all adopted now are called the normal values, old obsolete norms. Versus today, the compulsion of work from home, which is actually now ongoing new norm. So what is between the old obsolete norm and the ongoing new norm is a period of transition and transformation. And all these parts are within the control of the individual themselves to do or not to do. To do, you pay the price of more than mental, physical, and other stresses. Not to do, if you are employed, you face the choice of pay cut, dismissal, temporary suspension, what else? The point here is, in transition and in transformation, the employer is no longer kinder than he or she was, because bottom line is at stake. But then, how does the employer, therefore, in an academic situation, in an academic institution where it is education that it is the product, make a discrimination between productive contributing staff and the so-called non-productive shirker staff? But if this is fouled up, then obviously, like the previous speaker, how do we measure, which is the more popular term in Malaysia, the KPI, Key Performing Index? And that's the dilemma of working from home today. The challenge is that old norms are slowly obsolete, new norms are emerging, but in this transitional twilight zone, there are more stresses, uncertainty added. So as a conclusion, therefore, the choice is up to the candidate, the persons themselves. Do we give up and be fatalistic, or do we persevere and be optimistic? Like work from home becomes an option to a choice, because the choice is we decide to be bullied or not otherwise by employers, or alternatively to surrender, go into a dark corner, and bear the psychological impact of recovering from a very traumatic situation. So in a more motivating mode, working from home is actually a choice for us to rediscipline ourselves and show that we are of sterner stuff than we have been capable of doing, because times have changed, culture has changed, and it is people like us, the leaders in the academic world, especially the older ones, going into the twilight zone to share the experiences and say, I have a band of young students who will be future academics, who will contribute knowledge, share knowledge, and help them execute practicalized knowledge. Although in the process, the reward by the organization is one, but as human beings, our ultimate reward comes from heaven and the Supreme Himself. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the insightful information. So it was really a very good opening session by both of our special addresses today. Thank you very much. Now we move on to the academic paper presentations. As I mentioned earlier, today there will be 7 academic paper presentation. Each of the presenter gets 10 minutes time to present the work, and then followed up by a question and answer session from our panelists. And today our panelists are Dr. Media Icwfh and Dr. Osaro. So they are our panelists today for the question and answer session. So our first presenter today is going to be from Afghanistan. Work from home in the new norm, prospects and challenges in Kabul, Afghanistan, by Mujibur Rahman Usman and co-authored by Professor Dr. Rohini Devi. Over to you, Mujibur Rahman Usman, for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, to all the professors for their energetic speeches, and all the participants from the different parts of the world. I hope I'm clear. My sound is clear. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, your sound is clear and audible. Your presentation looks very fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So I would just start. My complete name is Mujibur Rahman Usman. The title of my paper, just Work from Home and the New Norm, Prospects and Challenges in Kabul, Afghanistan. So I'm originally from the southern region of Afghanistan. So co-author for this is Madam Sri Professor Dr. Rohini Devi. So just go to the introduction. So what is the introduction that we have it here? The unexpected outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has affected almost every sector, including higher education institutions around the world. During this COVID pandemic, most of the countries around the world have shifted to online teaching. Afghanistan, like many other worldwide, has also decided to dismiss all educational institutions to contain the huge spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, the Ministry of Higher Education of Afghanistan decided to compensate for their teaching processes through an online teaching system. The Ministry of Higher Education designed and administered in an online platform system called Higher Education Learning System to rapidly respond to the COVID-19 crisis and education context. Since then, the public universities across the country have experienced online teaching as the new phenomenon during the COVID pandemic, with no prior preparation for such an emergency case. The background of the research: despite this growing interest in online teaching, student satisfaction level remains the most concentrated indicator of this experience. One of the affected outcomes of COVID-19 include the academic performance of the students as they experience their first attempt towards online teaching. The study therefore aims to investigate the effects of COVID-19 on the academic performance of Afghan students and their satisfaction level with online teaching during the COVID-19 outbreak across gender. So aim of the research, the present study aimed at investigating the effects of COVID-19 on the academic performance of Afghan students and to identify to what extent are the Afghan students satisfied with online teaching in the Afghanistan context. The study also sought to explore whether there is any significant difference in the academic performance of Afghan students and their level of satisfaction with online teaching across gender. The relationship between the academic performance students and their level of satisfaction has also been examined. Literature review that related, we had few of them. The authors, Bendy Benmont, when in June, so a brief content for many online platforms as a challenge. We do need to search for that feeling, making safe spaces to robustly discuss race and race relations means building trust in the group. So the journal, the impact of teaching culture online during the COVID. The main lessons learned in COVID-19 is that having a face-to-face component, even in an online world, is imperative when teaching cultural component. Being able to develop relationships and trust between these units are offered would be beneficial. Chuang-Won, Sun, and September, then students' mental health as in higher education has been an increasing concern. The COVID-19 pandemic situation has brought this vulnerable population into renewed focus. Effects of COVID-19 on college students' mental health in the United States interview survey study. So due to the long-lasting pandemic situation and enormous measures such as lockdowns and stay-at-home orders, the COVID pandemic brings negative impacts on higher education. The findings of the study highlights the urgent need to develop interventions and preventive strategies to address the mental health of the college students. So research methodology. This was a quantitative research design via survey questionnaires was used. So there were 100 respondents, 36 females, and then 64 male students participated in the study from the public and private universities with age brackets between 18 and 32 years. The selection process was through simple random sampling techniques. Questionnaires was administered through Google Forms. Link of the questionnaires shared through the social media platforms, Facebook's, WhatsApp, and Twitter, with invitations letters. Respondents were given 3 days to complete answer the questionnaire. So questionnaires were translated into Dari language because we have many of the just the students in Kabul there, they are Dari speakers for those who are not fluent in English. So research objectives. The research aimed at investigating mainly the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the academic performance of Afghan students, existing challenges and their level of satisfaction with online teaching. It also attempted to explore the relations between the academic performance of students with their level of satisfaction during the COVID-19 outbreak. Findings of the study may also present several implications and suggestions for the Ministry of Higher Education and other related parties for them to enhance both the quality and capacity of online teaching during unexpected and emergencies, to stimulate the students' academic performance and to improve their level of satisfaction with online teaching. Research questions. The researchers also formulated the following research questions. Is there an effect, positive or negative, of the COVID-19 on the academic performance of Afghan students? To what extent are the Afghan students satisfied with an online teaching during the COVID-19 outbreak? Is there any significant difference in the academic performance of Afghan students across gender? Is there any significant difference in their level of satisfaction with an online teaching across gender? Is there any relationship between the academic performance of Afghan students and the reported level of satisfaction on their teaching? Summary of the findings that we found it here. So the findings of the study revealed that almost all the respondents preferred to have face-to-face teaching, while fewer respondents preferred to have online teaching. That the COVID-19 negatively affected the academic performance of Afghan students. It was also found that Afghan students were highly dissatisfied with online teaching during the COVID-19 crisis due to various reasons. That there was a significant difference in the academic performance of Afghan students across gender, as well as a significant difference in the level of satisfaction with online teaching was found across gender. It was also reported that female students were not willing to take part in the online sessions and did not accomplish the assigned task due to some unpleasant culture and or inequality in terms of having money to buy electronic devices such as computer, mobile, and or pay the cost of the internet. Finally, a strong positive correlation was identified between academic performance and their level of satisfaction with online teaching. So contribution. To our knowledge, this is the first effort in documenting the psychological impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the representative sample of college students. Although a vast majority of the participants answered that they have not used university counseling service during the pandemic, only a few of them provided reasons. Since finding specific reasons behind the low use, it is key to increasing college students' uptake of available counseling support. Future research is warranted to unveil underlying factors that hinder college students' access to mental health support. Future work could focus on more deeply probing the relationships between the various coping mechanisms and stresses. Additionally, further study is needed to determine the effects of the pandemic on the students' mental health and well-being in its later phases beyond the peak period. Recommendations. It is recommended for the Ministry of Higher Education and all the involved stakeholders to provide online teaching applications, provide professional training for online teaching applications and devices, provide Wi-Fi facilities, provide cheap internet packages, and provide virtual resources. So many of the teachers that were not familiar with these new technologies. Also recommended for teachers to provide interactive and comprehensive online services, along with supportive guidance and constructive feedback that could enhance the students' level of satisfaction with online teaching. Conclusion. As the findings of this study concerning correlations between academic performance and satisfaction level showed a positive relationship, it is indicated that low performance results in high dissatisfaction with online teaching. So most of the teachers were willing to teach their students through Google Classrooms, WhatsApps, or other social media platforms. This uncertainty of using the platforms lead the students to be dissatisfied and surely affected their performance and online teaching. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mujibur Rahman, for your paper. May I kindly request Dr. Media as a panelist for any clarifications?
Thank you, Mr. Mujib.
Thank you, madam.
Very clear presentation and well organized. I really like the background of your study and Afghanistan situation currently and aim of the study and robust research methodology. Just for my information, I want to ask, you said that based on your results, research results, you said that COVID-19 negatively affect on performance. Do you have any suggestion how we can increase student performance through virtual classes?
I think just from the papers and then our discussions with these people that we have received after analyzing these things there, the most important things, most of these teachers were first not familiar with using these technologies. And then the second things, these things was taking place abruptly. So means nobody was prepared. And then in a country like in Afghanistan, where they write that 4G internet, and even it is not 3G, and it is very slow and it's not working. So these things, I think first we have to familiarize the teachers and the students with the applications. I think what we have found, several universities or many of the universities were using different applications. And then many of the teachers even were not familiar using these applications. Similar was the case with the students. So some of the students, like we just were discussing about the female ones, there were some of the female women, students that because of the cultural issues, even they are not familiar with using the telephones. So then with the internet and other, I think when it's very difficult for them to have first access to these electronic materials, and then after that using this one. I think we have to increase the civic education first. First, we have to teach to the students, to the families, to the students, the usage of it and the benefits of it. So, and in case if such kind of civic education are provided to the people with the help of that, we would be able. I think just the Ministry of Higher Education is now trying on the package first to introduce, and then there has to be a sort of the alignment. There has to be one solid application approved through the ministry given to some. If different people are using different things there, that's not going to work. So I think I can suggest.
Thank you, Mr. Majid. Therefore, I think first they should train both groups, teachers and students, or as you said, even family. Then they can find out the solution to increase virtual class engagement that currently is so important for students. Okay, thank you then.
Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Dr. Asaro, any clarifications or anything you want to point out, please?
Okay, I just want to add that this is an absolutely beautiful presentation that has been done. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would encourage the speaker to keep it up. The question I wanted to ask actually coincided with what Dr. Media, my colleague, has asked, and a beautiful answer has been presented, so I'm fine with it. Having said that, I'm pretty sure that members of the audience would have enjoyed this presentation too, like I have done, and perhaps have one or two questions to ask the speaker, which may be beneficial to them. So I would encourage members of the audience, if they kind of want to seek clarification or more recommendation from the presenter, maybe they can type the question on the chat box and it will be responded to by the speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Osaro. If any of the participants here have any clarification on this, maybe I can take one question, please. Okay, I think they don't. Anyway, thank you very much, Mujibur Rahman, for the wonderful presentation. And despite of all the turbulences you are facing back in Kabul, you have managed the time and opportunity to join with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. From Afghanistan, we'll now move on to Maldives. Is Mr. Abdullah Faiz Hassan here with us here, please? Mr. Abdullah Faiz Hassan. Because he was not well that I knew. However, if he joins back, will ask him to present. His paper was on working from home during COVID-19, challenges and solution for Maldives employees. So if he joins, if he connects back, we'll come to his presentation. We move on to the third presenter, all the way from Zimbabwe at the moment. The impact of working from home induced by COVID-19 on working women in Harare, Zimbabwe. To be presented by Oripa Gatsi. Oripa, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Professor.
Okay, fine. You can share your screen, no problem. Yes.
Okay.
You can just enlarge the screen and start the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. All protocol observed. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to present my paper titled The Impact of Working from Home Induced by COVID-19 on Working Women in Harare, Zimbabwe. Brief introduction. The COVID pandemic has brought in new normalcy to something which we have never dreamt of. Nations had to impose lockdown and social distance from home. Only essential workers are pushed to work outside their homes. Schools had to close down, hence no more boarding or day schooling. This new normalcy has led to children spend more time at home, hence parents are taking care of their own children. Lockdown has caused untold suffering to self-employed individuals or street vendors because they cannot run their business as usual, and gross national products of many nations is affected. Although working from home has many benefits in reducing the spread of virus, hence because employees will be safe from getting infected. They can practice social distancing with ease as they will be working from the comfort of their homes. No transport fare is involved. However, working from home can be a challenge as well, especially in third world countries due to economic constraints. Some people cannot afford gadgets, and women are not spared as well as they are involved in multitasking. A recent study by Feng and Sevan 2020 indicated that women's productivity was more disrupted than their male counterparts as they felt dissatisfied with their jobs. This led to this paper to explore the impact of working from home on female employees during the imposed lockdown. Brief background of the research. Working from home is serving as an alternative working to reduce the spread of COVID-19 infection. But working from home is not a new phenomenon. It was highlighted by Neil 1988, and the concept was referred to as telecommuting or telework. Zimbabwe recorded its first case in March 2020, and the nation was plunged into panic mode as they recorded their first death from COVID-19. The the same month. Zimbabwe, like any other country facing this devastating infection, had to adopt different means to reduce the spread of this virus. This includes social distancing, masking up, sanitizing, washing hands, as prescribed by World Health Organization. The decision to suspend physical meeting and working was implemented swiftly without any guidance on how to do so. Decisions were made whilst people were in panicking mode, hence other shortfalls of working from home, like limited resources, access to internet, electrical power, and proper working space, gadgets, and other training were not considered. Most people in Zimbabwe live in shared homes whereby an individual or a family can share one room or so, whilst others occupy other rooms. Hence, working space can be a challenge. With the economic situation in Zimbabwe, most households do not have access to internet, let alone gadgets like smartphones and laptops. Women are known to be caregivers due to their gender roles. In most societies, women are employed as housemaids due to their socially constructed roles as caregivers. Historically, the nature of their job makes them invisible in development because they were and still involved in development whilst in private domain. Hence, when it comes to researches on how men, women, and men are contributing to development, women are nowhere to be found because researches are carried out in public domain, hence women are left out. Then Bosserup 1970 noted that women are contributing to development, especially in African agrarian economies, yet they were invisible. This led to the emergence of women in development with Women and Development Ward and GAD and Development, so that women can be visible in development. The first approach was WID, which focused on inclusion of women in development. Their major concern was quantity of women in development, not quality. Then WAD came as a reaction in addition to the already existing approach. WAD was worried about the quality of women in development, not quantity. They needed women with a voice to be involved in development so that they can make a difference. GAD then came as a reaction to WAD because WID and WAD were concentrating on women alone, hence men were left out, thereby creating another imbalance between men and women instead of equality. The purpose of GAD is to bridge the gap between men and women so that they will be at par in terms of access to equal opportunities in the society. However, of WID, WAD, and GAD work from home, hence of burdening women with more duties. Aim of the research to explore the impact of working from home induced by COVID-19 on working women in Harare, Zimbabwe. Then brief literature review. From the summary of the literature review, I gathered, I realized that there is imbalances in terms of contributing to household chores. Women are contributing more than their male counterparts, which means there is inequality in terms of contributing to household chores. Hence, there is a need to research on the impact of working from home on working women. Research methodology. Qualitative research was employed and in-depth interviews with 25 working women were done virtually through telephone. Purposive and convenient sampling were used to select 25 working women from different professions. Research objectives: to explore challenges and prospects of working from home on working women, and to understand their coping mechanisms. Research questions: what are the challenges faced by women working from home? What are the prospects of working from home, and what are their coping strategies? Summary of the findings. Although women indicated that they were satisfied with working from home because it gives them ample time to spend with their children, they indicated that they are now able to monitor the progress of their children, unlike during the era of physical office where they had to leave their children in the hands of their house helpers. For them, virtual office is drawing them closer to their children. However, negatives outweighs positives, as women highlighted that they are failing to demarcate between office time and family time, hence difficult to manage time, which is causing them to work overnight, trying to indicate that they are physically and psychologically drained by the time they go to bed. Most women indicated that they had sent their house helpers away so that they too came their home to work every day. And this has worsened their situation because they are now performing the duties which were previously performed by too much pressure on working women, as they indicated that they are now involved in dual roles as housekeepers and office workers. Most women indicated that they get less salaries as compared to their husbands, hence they give preference to their husband when it comes to working space. Another respondent highlighted that they only had 2 rooms, sharing working space with the husband, and children is in the bathroom so that she can find a quiet place she can work from. Women indicated that apart from office work and housework, they must assist their children with their homework as well. Although some women were highlighted to get the opportunity to monitor their children's progress, they said it's hectic considering the duties they must accomplish in a day. Most women indicated that they are missing their workplaces because there are certain duties they enjoy working as a team. Hence, working virtually has affected them psychologically. Women indicated that sorry for that. So contribution, this research will contribute to the board of knowledge and it will assist women working from home as well. Recommendations, the study recommended that studies to be carried out on the impact of working from home to assist policymakers on the way forward during COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era. Feasible gender guidelines and policies from the government should be put in place to properly regulate and make working from home feasible and comfortable for women. Men should be encouraged to assist women with domestic chores and to further promote family-friendly employment practices for men and women. Conclusion, it is crystal clear from the finding of this research that working from home has proven not to be the best option for the majority of working women because women are working overtime due to their gender roles as caregivers and the fact that their mothers, daughters, aunties, daughters-in-law, they end up involved in more tasks since they will be at home. They find it very difficult to convince people that they are working since they will be at home, and they cannot ignore visitors during working hours since women are known for their hospitality role in the family, hence resulting in mental exhaustion. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oripa Gatsi, for the presentation from Zimbabwe. Dr. Media, any clarifications and questions, please?
Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting topic, and you touch the important indicator currently we are faced, women and working from home.
Thank you.
The material, very clear to me. Just I want to ask you, as a woman, and of course that you are working from home, do you have any other recommendation that you didn't put in your paper for us?
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
I think something should be done, especially maybe by our employers, to look into the way they divide maybe duties or working hours so that women can be comfortable working from home, because as it is now, women are working overtime due to other responsibilities at home than their male counterparts.
You mean some kind of flexible timetable?
Yes.
Okay, important.
Instead of equality in terms of sharing duties at workplace, I think women should be given maybe less duties.
Interesting recommendation, but I don't know whether it's applicable or not. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Osaro, anything you would like to add on to this women work from home?
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Okay, Oripa, that was a brilliant presentation. I especially loved it. And I'm happy that I have to weigh in now. I thought maybe only the ladies, the women would talk about this. Okay, so I want to ask, I want to bring another dimension into this, but I think it's somewhat related. Now, you've shown that in Zimbabwe, and by the way, the results from that you have provided are quite similar to the reports we've heard in many other countries. Okay, so it's something, it's a challenge that cuts across. So now I want to ask this all-important question. So we've seen that there's been a challenge with the gender roles when it comes to the women, and the COVID-19 induced the work from home, this pandemic. All right, so have there been reports of domestic violence or domestic abuse or breakage of relationship of homes as a result of these issues that you've highlighted in the Zimbabwean context?
Yeah, since the imposition of lockdown, the rate of gender-based violence has increased, which means there might be a relationship between lockdown or working from home, something like that, and gender-based violence. But I am not so sure whether it is caused by working from home or just the lockdown or economic hardships due to lockdown.
Okay. Perhaps it's a salad, I mean, a mixture of all of these factors, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Just one more question. Dr. Media has asked you about how, I mean, this your personal views about how the challenges could be mitigated in terms of the work from home. But I also want to find out from you, in your opinion, how can women, the home or couples in general, try to solve this issue to lessen the burden on the women on one hand, and on the other hand, because we know that this pandemic seems to be ravaging on a continual basis and it's not stopping anytime soon. So how can the home unit solve these issues so that it doesn't escalate? the home front?
I think this challenge needs both men and women to be educated on how they can solve their issues at home so that they can help each other when it comes to household chores, because need the help of their. So I think the media should play a pivotal role in educating couples on how they can handle this issue so that they can assist each other on household chores, so that women can perform or they can contribute comfortably to their workplaces.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, thank you very much, Oripa. It's been an interesting time discussing this with you.
Thank you very much, the panelist, for the question. Thank you, Oripa, for the good presentation. Okay. Now, all the way from Zimbabwe, we come down.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Oripa. Now we come down to Malaysia for our next paper presenter. The paper title is Paradox of Work from Home in Institutions of Higher Learning, the APA, Icwfh Performance Assessment Perspective, by Professor Dr. Icwfh and co-authored by Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair and Prof. Joseph Adaikalam. If Oripa can kindly unshare the screen, then Prof can start sharing the screen. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon again. Good evening and good morning. It is my pleasure now as a presenter. The title of my presentation is Paradox of Work from Home in Institutions of Higher Learning, the APA Icwfh Performance Assessment Perspective. You will find that there are a couple of acronyms inside this presentation, and they are explained in one of the slides. So as we moved along, bear in mind one umbrella concept called oxymoron. If that doesn't keep you awake, I hope it doesn't put you to sleep. Let's go to the second slide. This paper offers two capsulated acronym approach to understanding the new normal phenomenon of work from home during the blanketed prohibitions of COVID-19 pandemic in institutions of higher learning, particularly private ones in Malaysia. It does not neglect, however, public ones where similar work from home prohibitive circumstances and inhibitive restrictions stifle the full and vibrant articulations of expressive and interactive face-to-face academic engagements, formal or otherwise, within and outside the campus. In this context, therefore, the first acronym is Paradox, which actually encapsulates perspective, action, reality, agenda, disruption, omnipresence, and xenophobia. This is tended to capture the essential elements, content of how they collectively instigate, intentionally or insinuatingly, a milieu of cynicism among the academic community, specifically, and the interested public generally, about work from home and its impact on their lives and livelihood. Circumscribing the paradox, contextual enunciations is the second acronym called APA, representing atrophy, performance, and assessment, tendered as a three-pronged evaluation approach on the impact of confusing COVID-19 sets of ambiguous solution pronouncement in order to stimulate a recall of Shakespeare's comedy of errors without magnifying the subtle cynicism of a cascading public outcry for business survival and individual despair assistance. In essence, work from home is a new normal work culture with limited options to behave otherwise like before COVID-19 lockdowns that must be cultivated based on a stoical but not necessarily fatalistic orientation and nurtured with tenacious, resolute values that accepts in good faith a propensity to adapt and change as necessary, a disrupted before lifestyle values that are increasingly depreciated. The new knowledge and experiences, together with the paradoxical insights of caustic criticisms, should now provide emerging platforms or new learnable curricula for education training providers and purveyors, respectively, in institutions of higher learning, both private and public, without the bureaucratic forbearance of ministry authority. In conclusion, offered as a dualistic combination of an enigma and axiom manifested in the contention of a paradox and oxymoron, dualism, about our lives under restrictive inhibitions of COVID-19 pandemic and its ravaging mutations of deadly Delta and probably more Hydra species to spawn. The etiology of this paper reacts as a tongue-in-cheek approach to the lexicon interpretation application in viewing the analysis of COVID work from home relationship at the macro level and the work institutions of higher learning oxymoron relationship at the micro level without the benefit of any judgmental wisdom. The etiology discovered but prescriptive solutions are far from permanent resolutions yet. This is an abstract, so it's difficult to understand, but let me just go through to you the few words inside there which actually makes the paper Paradox and APA the main theme of this paper. So as I mentioned, on the one hand, okay, this paper is a dualistic combination of an enigma, which I will explain below, and axiom, manifested in the contention of a paradox and oxymoron dualism about our lives under restrictive inhibitions of COVID-19 pandemic and its ravaging mutations of deadly Delta. On the one hand, this is it. It is an enigma that confirms the conundrum of quandary we are in, a dilemma that is more perplexing than vexing, compounded by a compendium of mixed prevarication and fabrication of the origin and resilient viruses and efficacy of commercialized branded vaccinations that promote a wildfire spread of truth and falsehood about the population dissemination of humans, the demise of God-conscious humane societies, and the rise of consortium commercialism and dehumanized proxies of vested interests. In other words, these are the contradictory terms of positive and negative. On the other hand, It is an idiom that requires no proof of self-evident scenarios of disruptive and ravaged lives across the globe since the relentless onslaught of the pandemic, with the ominous reality of more blazing deaths and destruction to come. In short, there is a paradoxical dilemma in etiology and etiology of the COVID-19 pandemic impact on our lives, livelihood, and living today in general, and the modus operandi of work from home or working from home productivity in particular. The latter, however, vary from organization to organization in different industries and business enterprises. In this case, the private and public institutions of learning as providers of business, of education, and the education of business. In short, both these words provide contradicting meanings, and the impact is you either prove or disprove it, which at the moment is actually uncertain. Next, please. So the terminology here, just to work from home according to international organization, uniquely home-based working, teleworking as a temporary alternative working arrangement that requires a shared responsibility of commitment by both employers and workers to ensure that business community continuity and employment. So etiology is actually any thought, any viewpoint or opinion, a statement or a word, and articulation of contradictions in terms of ideas whose unverified credibility is questionable, and as the boon of time, choice, flexible productivity working from home, then the bane of clockwork precision, rigid productivity at work. In other words, when you say it is more productive at work in the office than it is less productive at home, you still cannot prove it until you have, and at this point in time, we have not actually consolidate a foolproof KPI or measurement as was mentioned earlier. Then the next one is etiology is actually used as a medical term, which actually means the study of an investigation of the origin of causes of illness and disease in medicine. Therefore, the etiology of work from home is both an enigma and an idiom, because COVID influencing joy of flexible work practice and the COVID foreboding gloom of job loss in current disrupted employment field of an economic emaciation. That means we cannot prove either case, which is more destructive, which is more accepting, so on and so forth. So we are in actually a paradoxical situation. The word enigma actually means a mystery, all right, that is shrouding our life today, is stressing us. The idiom, therefore, is the antonym of enigma, which means to say we need evidences to clarify our doubts. Next, please. Okay, paradox is a Latin word. Okay, what it means, you say one thing, but you do the other thing, or you do something and say the other thing. Contradictory action, contradictory thinking. That's the simplest I can come to. Now, this is the most interesting word which I love to have, because earlier in my speech, I did mention the word called real, unreal. This is a figure of speech refers to as oxymoron. On the one hand, there is reality. On the other hand, there is unreality. So when you say COVID-19 impact is real, but it produces unreal consequences, and then you say in some other aspect, they are unreal consequences in the real situation. So in that kind of a situation today, when we do a study of either in practice, in academic terms, or in whatever term we are confronted with. If you have learned nothing from our presentation, this is the oxymoron of work from home. Then, if those of you who have been like me in the days of Shakespeare, there is a comedy of errors in whatever we do here. So summarily, a comedy of error here is there are many situations, bad or good, that get us down together directly or indirectly, and we are saying the same thing, doing the same thing, and perhaps suggesting the same thing without realizing that among us, we share the same thing. In other words, we cannot and fail to define what Shakespeare at the end of his play says, certainly we are all relatives in a big family without realizing the tragedy or the comedy of the end of it. So this is a context which I see in the presentation of this paper, a comedy of errors. So therefore, what is my suggestion? I put it in another acronym called APA. So this is an original word, which means atrophy. COVID-19 has put us in an atrophied station. We just think that sometimes we are just arrested, stop from doing anything, think about anything. We just say we give up. The next thing is, how do we assess what performance are we doing? Sitting still at home, thinking, sulking, expecting. Is that performance? And then the third word, assessment. How do we assess if we remain still and think? And who is to tell us that if we are thinking, that's not productive? But some people may interpret that if you speak to yourself while you are thinking, you are already losing your head. Mental case. Okay, so this is the gist of the acronyms and the keywords that summarizes this. Next one, please. So the findings in this, and I'm not going to go through that because inside here, that this particular slide cited literature, okay? Literature that are found in this source called Surprising Work from Home Productivity Statistics as in and available in the internet. So that is the before COVID, and I shall spare you the details. Now move to the one that comes from the real focus of this work. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay. Now this is again another after COVID. Today you can find a lot of propositions, suggestions, and all that. And this slide has quoted at least 3 sources from where I summarize. And summary means I have also analyzed, because that is what literature review is all about in my shared teaching with students, that it is not a citation alone, but actually an opinion stated citation of works done by other people. Next slide. Okay, this is where the origin of this paper matters with content, and the content matters. So you see this, and this is another oxymoron. A spat of publications in the wake of pandemic work from home, review advocacy in 2020 is showcased by some authors such as Douglas, Gordon, Weber, remotely working, so on and so forth. So ironically, pre-COVID era witnessed this work from home concept being tossed around to enable people to exercise the choice of personal freedom to work anywhere outside the confines of the concrete offices, to better enjoy, among others, the liberty to reduce the on-the-road stress of struggling with maddening traffic rush, of jam-packed highways, to and from workplaces, including to capitalize the work-life balance benefits of spending more time with family, pursuing leisure drive lifestyles, to desires under sightseeing. Okay, so so can we have less interruption, please? Okay, so this is that situation.
Can kindly the other attendees, can you kindly keep your microphone in the mute format, please? Thank you.
However, a major challenge to employers is how to determine the number of hours or volume output an employee or a staff commits to the flexibility of work from home. In the case of the owner-operators of Institute of Higher Learning or Education, some have opted for a detailed weekly time-based worksheet for a breakdown with brief description of day-hour record of work due to the chagrin and silent dismay of especially academic staff who do no teaching or more thesis dissertation supervision between a sprinkle of lectures, quite easily measurable a semester delivery. So you see, this is one of the biggest dilemma. You ask a staff to produce time-based worksheet, hour per hour, day per day, week per week. But then what's the difference between those who teach a little and supervise, and those who supervise completely? This is one big oxymoron, one big paradox. So in the context of another situation, IR 4.0 and its promotion of digitalization economy, a paradox oxymoron situation in education, specifically and training generally, the reliance on digital performance alone is a limited value for unlimited opportunities to use more technology input in procuring, delivering, and achieving desired productivity, including more comprehensively planned education and training outcome programs online. So this is the crux of an oxymoron. On the one hand, you have productivity, unproductivity, or unproductivity. So today, if you have learned nothing much from my presentation, these are not pure big vocabularies, but they encapsulate a very, very meaningful situation of the atmosphere we face, particularly, and I'm not going to side on the business side, particularly on the delivery of education knowledge. Next slide, please. The next one, comedy of errors. Now, to explain that situation, in the context of this study, the comedy of errors under the umbrella of COVID pandemic and governmental enforcement mechanisms at the macro level continue to witness a daily increase in COVID cases, hospitalized treatment death cases, the panic-stricken overflow and inadequacy of hospital beds and equipment, and the questionable sunken efficient monetary allocations and million to billion ringgit public assistance to combat the on the rise of more noxious spreading pandemic forms of the virulent genera of Delta mutation. At the micro level, institutes of higher learning delivery chain, the impatient patient wait for, and impatient patient is also an oxymoron, wait for fresh directives from Ministry of Education or Higher Education, atrophies and anticipated change from online work from home to on-site office campus with cascading anxiety emotions that do more harm than good psychologically and socially. So, reliance on WhatsApp or an email messages as new normal practices to keep communication alive and information relevant help to a certain extent. But intensified crisscrossing and overlapping communication defeats clear and unclouded messages whose volume overshadows the urgency of responses to inquiries and answers. More importantly, between academic staff and students, domestically and internationally. In short, intensive communication leads to defensive explanation that misses the crux of correspondence messages, wittingly or unwittingly. And that's a paradox oxymoron situation. Next, please. Now, this is the other finding on enigma axiom paradox. A paradox, an abnormally referring to a state, anomaly referring to a statement, proposition, or opinion apparently contradictory until verified true or proven otherwise to reflect a phenomenon under research or probe, such as variegated public opinion on stay at home directive and work from home or working from home compulsion under the prohibitive governance of COVID-19 movement control operation and emergency movement control operation for all districts and states countrywide. The exception, therefore, provide the paradox of blanket versus selective enforcement, fines and prosecution for the lay violating populace against the cult of power-wielding people, representatives in state, federal authority positions. In other words, there's a discrimination between the layman and some big shots. The last one, paradox, the finding on the acronym interpretation. As I said before, an acronym whose alphabets represent perspective, action, reality, agenda, disruption, omnipresence, and xenophobia, all these covers discussion category to capture the essential elements content of how they collectively instigate, intentionally or insinuatingly, a milieu or an environment of cynicism among academic community and the interested public generally. And the second acronym of APA, a repeat atrophy performance assessment on a three-pronged approach on the impact of confusing COVID-19 sets of ambiguous solution pronouncement and reflecting, again, as I said, Shakespeare's comedy of errors. Okay, so paradox representing P is for policy programs, action, reality, agenda, disruption, omnipotence, and xenophobia to capture the essential element content of how collectively we are affected adversely, neutrally, or otherwise in our work from home, stay at home directives under COVID situation. Next, please. The upper one is very easy. Now I give an example here. Directly or indirectly, ensuing the negative impact of COVID pandemic. At the macro level, now we have so many missed school days. And if that provides the major feeder recruitment system into higher education from primary and secondary schools, this again in future will compound problems on the growing belief about high volume applicants and low quality requirements institutions of higher learning. So in other words, there is now going to be in future a matching mismatch oxymoron of education paradox in recruitment because of what's happening in the schooling system, college system now. So in essence, work from home is a new normal work culture with limited options to behave otherwise. Like before COVID-19 lockdowns, that must be cultivated based on stoical, that means very strict, but not necessarily fatalistic orientation. You must be positive and nurtured with tenacious, resolute values that accepts in good faith a propensity to adapt. That means you must be willing to adapt and change as necessary, because disrupted lifestyles and changing values are increasingly depreciated. The new knowledge and experiences, together with paradoxical insights of caustic criticism, should now provide emerging platforms for new learnable curricula for education, training providers, and purveyors of respective institutions of higher learning, without the bureaucratic forbearance of ministry authority. Next. In this discussion, just to summarize, paradox of work from home of higher learning, the APA, the attempt is made to articulate and explain with some justifications, but based on experienced factual combination of tongue-in-cheek and vestibule of episodes delivery that is contemporary and continually recurring since and throughout the COVID pandemic, especially pertaining to the management and delivery of business of education in this country and other countries. All right. And also in relation to how we assess and measure performance assessment, or popularly in Malaysia, we call it the KPI, Key Performing Index. Okay. The latter is discussed using paradox. The former is discussed using APA. Next one. Okay, now this is just to summarize the whole thing. It's too long for me to say anything, but if you look on the left-hand side, under acronym, that is the PRADOX right up to APA, and then the opposite of acronym is babonym, and then there's all the words, and then on the third column, there are explanations, okay? Next. All right, the tabulated summation of dualistic paradox upper combination leaves room for research and interpretative analysis of paradoxical position of culture transforming focus on pre-COVID normal conventional culture versus ongoing COVID pandemic new normal culture. In this context, the impact assessment of NCC premised on an established order and organization stability is now contrasted with the NNC, whose gradual settling of uncertain disruptions and disorder have challenged and destabilized the stability of organization lives, livelihood, and lifestyle. In other words, this recommendation poses a challenge to PhD students, master students, and whoever are now in this institution and other institutions to come out with research. And if they needed a guideline, please use one of these guidelines and then work on it, and you will have a proposal, intent, defend, or whatever else. Okay, next. Now, this is the conclusion. A bittersweet experience of ravaging COVID depression and a hope of preserving resistance to its onslaught, therefore, set the tone, tempo, and spirit of this paper. which offers two capsulated acronym approach to understanding the new normal phenomenon of work from home during the blanketed prohibitions of COVID-19 pandemic in institutions of higher learning, particularly private ones in Malaysia. It does not neglect the public institutions. Secondly, in conclusion, the paradox of etiology, which is defining the cause effect on both the enigma and axiom of the COVID influencing joy of flexi working practice and the COVID foreboding gloom of job loss. All right, all this in the name of employment, unemployment, which is actually an oxymoron. To stay home, be safe, or leave home, be dead. Next. Okay, now these are the references. Therefore, in conclusion, as also mentioned earlier in my introductory speech, there is a basic conclusion to this presentation. But the value of this contribution is for all ongoing students in higher education doing whatever research, a challenge to them to use some of these keywords to do the actual research, basically concerning pre and post-COVID. And actually, I've come up with what we call a condensed version of what COVID actually means. The basic thing in work from home that emanates a challenge or challenges and also challenging us to propose prospects of solution lies in only one thing. COVID means there is a change of values, insecurity, conditioning. C for change, O of values is V, I for insecurity, and C for conditioning. And because of this culture of volatility induced a conviction that unless we give up and be fatalistic, we cannot lose. Because post-COVID, working from home might produce, they all call it hybrid or whatever. I would like to call it a composite of new culture which encourages innovation and new enterprises. With that hopeful note, I end my humble presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for the detailed information of understanding us the paradox. Over to the dear panel. Maybe Dr. Osaro wants to start first now.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
I want to say it's indeed a privilege for those of us who have listened to this presentation. It's a combination of grammatical mastery and some brilliant public speaking in play. It's a privilege to listen to the eminent professor speaking to us in this manner. Thank you very much, Professor. And I want to reiterate that even if this presentation did not keep anybody awake, certainly it did not make anybody go to sleep. As I was here with my dictionary, both online dictionary and hard copy dictionary, it was something that kept me very busy throughout the presentation. Okay, so I want to ask you a question, Prof. And this is to tap from your wealth of experience. Having noted the challenges, most especially in the educational sector when it comes, and I will just leave it open to other sectors also, when it comes to measurement of performance. Okay, this is one of the few points, the many points you made about the challenge of measuring performance. Okay, so drawing from your wealth of experience, pre and during COVID, what will be your valuable suggestion about how employers and managers can tackle the challenge of keeping track and measuring the performance of their employees?
Thank you very much, Dr. Osoro, for an insightful question and a very diplomatic question. Basically applicable to both business and academic institution is a situation which has long been discussed. Business is about profit and loss. So too, as I mentioned, academic today is not only in the education of business, which means they teach business courses, but they are in the business of education where they have to make profit, particularly private institutions, to survive. Okay, so you cannot adopt a standard measurement when it comes to performance, particularly among academic staff and administrative staff, because there are key administrative staff, there are core academic staff. So in applying, measuring performance, all right, award, for example, reward in terms of giving more money, punishment in terms of giving less money, short of the threat of dismissal, then how do you evaluate? First of all, management in any either situation must separate by themselves an evaluation judgment based on recategorizing quote unquote performing staff, average staff, non-performing staff, and the political staff. By that, I mean not those who are politicians, but those who actually carry favors to prolong their lifespan in organizations. This is a frank opinion based on that. So now it comes to which category do you belong to? And do you, if you are in the last category that I talk about, wait for political change to come and then you fade into oblivion? Or if you are on the performing side, on the average side, on the high side, you say, look, my job is I deliver knowledge. And if I'm lecturing based on criteria of my performance in lecturing, if I am lecturing and supervising based on the outcome, and if I'm only supervising based on how many at the end of the day got their degree and live out without all the backroom negotiations, you understand what I mean? And then, okay, that will become a fairer. So in other words, you cannot lump everybody together in a state of emergency and say, look, we are facing a crisis and therefore we need to cut your salary. We need to say goodbye to you. And it's very unfortunate. But thank God, I've gone through that. I'm going through that. And then I say to myself, at the end of the day, the judgment lies in one's conscience. And that is why I brought up in my presentation the comedy of errors, because in the play, all those who were interacting and finally came to know one another after quarreling and whatever, realized they came from the same family tree. So by our family tree in academic, we are knowledge givers, we share, and because of our qualification, our asset is at the end of the day, if I can help Dr. Osoro come out with the next oxymoron, even though now he's a lecturer, he will be able then to pass this on to the next generation. And then that is the reward for what? And whether the organization awards us, rewards us accordingly, it is all in the hands of the invisible hand, not the economic hand, all right? The invisible hand of God. So our conscience is clear, and that is all that matters. And that is why I said in work from home, in conclusion, you want to be fatalistic and surrender, or you want to be optimistic and share. And this is where you pray and hope. And I say pray and hope because it is honest on your employer. It is honest on your institution. Okay, to say, look, I have got to stop this because in good times, I take the goods and I take more. In bad times, I take the goods and I share less. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Very much. I would say Prof at his
Thanks.
best always. Dr. Media, the other panelist, any clarifications you want to have?
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Oyubu. Very interesting information. I learned a lot, and I totally agree that current situation is look like the comedy of errors. And I think Mr. Monir is waiting for presentation. I don't want to ask any.
Thank you for being kind.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Okay, it's great to see Mr. Nesbert Samu joining us from Zimbabwe, from the member of the Parliament Office in Zimbabwe. Welcome, Mr. Nesbert Samu. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah, thank you. Now, all the way from Malaysia, we go to Bangladesh. Our next presenter is going to be Monir Hussain, and he's going to present on online education work from home of the Department of English at private universities in Bangladesh, challenges and prospects during pandemic. Over to you, Mr. Monir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. Yes. Thank you.
Is my screen visible here?
Yeah, it is visible. Yes.
Okay. Dear listener, esteemed researchers, eminent panelists, participants, the organizing members of this conference, a very hearty welcome to this international conference on work from home challenges and prospects organized by Binary University, Malaysia. Here I am, Monir Hussain from Kumilla, Bangladesh. My today's paper presentation topic is Online Education, Work from Home of the Department of English at Private Universities in Bangladesh, Challenges and Prospects During Pandemic. My co-author is the renowned professor, Dr. Asif Mahbub Karim, Professor, Binary University, Malaysia. So I would like to go for the introduction. Can you hear me properly, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the current outbreak of coronavirus disease was first reported from Wuhan, China on 31st December 2019. From these, COVID-19 has spread all over the world, WHO reports. In Bangladesh, this COVID-19 was identified on March 8, 2020. The government declared lockdown from March 17 for a certain period. From then, the school, college, universities are shut down physically. At the time, private universities of Bangladesh came forward to continue teaching learning activities in the end of the March 2020 through online platform. They took the initiative to teach students online by the help of technological devices. Research has been conducted on the possibility and accountability of the online education during pandemic. At the beginning of the implementing this system in Bangladesh, UGC, University Grant Commission Bangladesh, has given permission to run this online education. Background of the research: the pandemic is an unexpected situation when people have to face a lot of problem in every sphere of life. Each section, like commercial, economical, social, religious, as well as educational activities, are strongly hampered. This COVID-19 has given many restrictions to do normal activities like before. After the declaration of WHO, this COVID-19 as pandemic, almost all the activities of the world have got a new shape and changed a lot. In education section, these impact also has strikingly affected. Observing the situation, many researchers suggested the policymakers and educationists to continue education through online platform. Bangladesh has also taken this initiative seriously from various education sections. Many private universities started continuing their educational activities of late of March 2020 when the country got locked down from March 17, 2020. Although the public university firstly did not encourage to continue education through online, later on they also started teaching online to their students. This study is really essential to find out the challenges in running educational work from home through online. It is also necessary to bring out various prospects that have been also visible in education sector. Aim of the research. The aim of the research is to contribute to the new norm educational educational activities for the better future decision to check the present scenario of working from home of the Department of English of private universities in Bangladesh. This is truly a new phenomenon in the field of education, not only in Bangladesh, but also other countries of the world. During this pandemic, everything has got a new shape and approach is systematically developed for running the activities smoothly in this critical situation. This study aims to measure the present working condition as well as the challenges and prospects during the pandemic COVID-19. Literature review. I have gone through, the study has gone through some literatures of, I see Tabassum Mannan Parvez and Iftikhar Parvez and Firoz Ahmed conducted an online study on online education during COVID-19. They found that in university teachers' perspective, their findings were really good to measure that 88.5% of the participants take online classes and 91.3% of them were staying at home. So a major percentage has been observed in this study. Dr. S. and Smita also conducted a study on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on tertiary level education from a student perspective. They also found a lot of informations in their study: disruption in learning, losses of social interaction, physical health problems, shifting to online education, and financial crisis are the major findings of their study. Here are also some other literature review, and we have find Misha Tushar Gupta and Abhay conducted also another research at Mizoram University, India. They have focused on online teaching, learning in higher education during lockdown period of COVID-19 pandemic. They have got also some important aspect in their study: teaching learning process, semester examinations, future academic decision making during adverse situation. Another study I have found that Zulfikar Hassan and Anwarul Islam, KM Anwarul Islam also conducted another study on the view of teacher and of private university in conducting online education, online classes during the corona pandemic in Bangladesh, and also have found a lot of information using technology, helping the authority in monitoring the classes during this pandemic is the main finding of that. Literature research methodology. This research is quantitative in nature. The questionnaire has been made and sent to the faculty members of different private universities through email and messenger. There are some demographic questions and focused questions related to the topic. The questions are mostly yes, no, and 2 are open-ended. Other 8 questions are in the form of 5-point Likert scale. Among the UGC approved 105 universities, 12 university faculty members responded in this questionnaire. The sample has been designed following the method of snowball sampling. Research objectives to identify the challenges of online education work from home in Bangladesh. Another objectives is to investigate the prospects of online education work from home in Bangladesh, to check out the rate of success of online education in Bangladesh, to justify the possibility of online education work from home in Bangladesh. Research question: is there any challenges of online education work from home during any crisis moment like pandemic? Is there any prospects of online education working from home in the context of Bangladesh? Is this online education work from home successful? Summary of the findings: the total responders of the questionnaire were 20. Among them, 50% was female and 50% was male. There were from 12 different private universities of Bangladesh. The responders' working position are mostly lecturer and assistant professor of different private universities in Bangladesh. Based on the response of the questionnaire, the study has found the most of the faculty members, which is 55%, thinks that online education work from home is effective, and other 15% believe that it is mostly effective, and 20% state that it is more effective. The least faculty response says that this is less effective. Here is the diagram. In the pie chart, we see this question. And we have also another general question regarding the experience of teaching online in this critical moment. Regarding the experience of this online education, the faculty members, this study find that the highest number of faculty member feels good, which is 60%, and 15% got excellent experience, while other 20% feels average, and the rest of them feel not good. We see there are some questions on yes, no, maybe a scale. The use of internet and Wi-Fi connection, about this question, 70% of the respondents said yes, and 10% was no, and 20% maybe. And some other question was raised in order to find out the real scenario of these problems of these related to this topic. Finding from the 5-point Likert scale question, we see that online education learning can be an alternative to the education system during the unexpected situation like COVID-19. Like this education, 30% of the responders strongly agreed, 45% agree, and net 10% were net neutral. 10% disagreed with that problem, then strongly disagree. Online education during this unexpected situation fulfill the targeted goal of the students in the to meet the digital visions. There also we have found a lot of information from this questionnaire. So another important question actually I would like to share here. Based on these questionnaire, the study has found a wide range of mixed opinion and suggestion from the faculty members. To mention about the challenges they have found as given below, the problems are technical issue like lack of proper internet connection, Wi-Fi devices, and disconnection of electricity, students' perceptions, in the class, to student participations in the class is not like before. Lack of self-motivations, miscommunications, health issue like headache, dizziness, high pressure, stress and anxiety, maintaining standard on evolution, family issue like bothering, no proper place, disturbing from others. This actually the challenges the study has found have found in this research. I have also found something about the most difficult thing about the judgment of the evaluation system of this critical moment online education. Most of the faculty members responded that they are maintaining the standard and through this questionnaire, through this written exam board, broad and short type of question, open book exam, take home exam, creative exam, Google Doc, MCQ quiz test, and these are the formats actually they follow for judging their students. Contributions of the study. This study helps to get a real picture of online education, work from home, and the challenges of the new phenomena. It also tries to check the true experience of the activities in Bangladesh. Like other researchers, this study has also got a significance in the field of education during pandemic. Therefore, it has become a matter of great concern to make proper investigation for implementing new ideas in education, business, health, and other sustainable issues. Recommendations from this study. Based on the analysis of the findings, the study recommends two important bodies who are closely associated with private university. One is the Government Republic of Bangladesh, another one is the private university authorities. The government should ask the mobile networking company to enhance their internet providing service throughout the whole country. A special encouragement also should be given to the private university to provide internet connectivity to their students.
Munir Hussain. He just got freezed at the moment. It's also one of the challenges work from home, I'll say. Mr. Munir, are you able to hear? Oh, I think it's totally locked out now. Yes, we'll just wait a few moments for him to join in. Let's see. Yes, indeed, you can see the challenges of working from home, but it comes with prospects as we are globally aligned here as well. So it is both prospects and challenges.
Sir,
Yes,
hello. For the
yes,
interruption
please
of the
continue.
internet, actually.
Right, challenges of work from home. Yeah.
Should I continue, sir?
Yes, yes, please continue and complete. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So the recommendation the study has found that based on these, I was just talking about the government and the private university should also arrange training seminar, a workshop, and both for the teachers and students. They also need to encourage the faculty members by providing salary in time. They also should also be careful about the health issues of the faculty members, students, and other staffs. For this reason, they can raise fund for the medical facilities to them. Conclusion of this study. I'm sorry that for the interruption of internet connection, I cannot show the slide here. I'm just reading out.
Yes, please.
This study focuses on the challenges and prospects of online education activities working from home in the Department of Private Universities in Bangladesh. The finding of this research has got importance for understanding and realizing the present situation. The study has found a lot of challenges which is pointed out through the questionnaire analysis, such as technical issues like lack of proper internet connections, Wi-Fi, electricity problem, as I face now actually. Fewer attendance of the students, lack of motivation, health issues like headache, stress, anxiety, and quality issues. In addition, regarding the experience of effectiveness of the online education working from home, the study noticed that this education and learning is mostly effective. The faculty members have got a very good experience of it. Adopting technology in 21st century is also essential, which is found in this study. Thus, there are a lot of scopes for analyzing and modifying the context. Continued, by this research finding, it can be projected to the educationist and researcher for the proper concern. The government of higher authority can also get the benefits of essence of this research for the better understanding and initiating effective steps in this field. The scope for further studies, I see this study has not added student perspective and observations regarding online education work from home. It is also mentionable that the study has not conducted in a large scale, both private and public universities. There are a lot of scopes for further studies of these field. As research is an ongoing process, we are to study in different fields and different area of this context. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your hearing. I'm sorry for the misconnection of these internet troubles. Thank you very much, the panelists, and thank you, Professor, for giving me the chance to present here. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Monir Hussain, for the presentation. And yes, I would like to kindly request first Dr. Osaro for any clarification, please. Dr. Osaro.
Okay, thank you very much for that beautiful presentation, Monir. It has been inspiring listening to you and getting the perspective of these work from home challenges in the context of Bangladesh education sector. Okay, I would just want to ask you, and this is on a personal note, you have identified a number of challenges from, and this is a very good part of your presentation, from the student perspective and also from the lecturer's perspective. So, and seeing that COVID-19, I mean, we all listen to the news every day. So we have noticed that COVID-19 seems to be here to stay, at least for the nearest future. Seeing that we cannot, I mean, this is an external environmental element that we cannot control. What would be your recommendation for making online education interesting and more engaging for the students? You've identified, just to reiterate what you've said, you've identified students complaining of headache and some other things. Okay, so what can we do, seeing that COVID-19 is still here with us? What can we do to make it more interesting, more engaging, and more impactful for the students?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Usaru sir, for your nice question. Actually, I personally have been observing this question and also getting this problem from the students that they are not highly motivated. So for the development of this online education or for encouraging or engaging the students, I think there should have some changes in teaching methodology or some way of presenting. I think the teacher or the faculty members make the lesson very interesting and very effective for the students, attractive for the students by giving their lecture sheets, be giving a well presentation, slide presentations. Then they can also show some videos from the YouTube. They can also engage by giving group work or task so that the students can enjoy this time actually for building up their concern about this study. Another thing is the students also should have given some freedom in the class to interact with the teacher and faculty members so that they can actually think that they are doing and contributing in the class. I think this way that can develop actually this online education and also continue for a long time, as it has some negative aspects in among us. So this has to be find out, and also we are to try and also add some policies to make these lessons interesting and attractive for the students. I think everyone should import some better understanding or better thinking in their lecture and so on.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much. Okay, then this is from the student perspective. How about from the lecturer's perspective? I have read some recent reports and articles that have shown that there also is some form of demotivation and dissatisfaction, amongst the teachers teaching via online platforms.
Yeah, it is really seen that some of the university teachers are in great crisis. Actually, they are to find out the motivations from the authorities. Sometimes we see that in the very beginning of this pandemic, the salary salary was not provided to the faculty members in time, or a full salary was not paid. So that's why sometimes the faculty members had to bear a lot of difficulties. I think this should be focused also, and I think if other things can be developed by giving medical facilities, proper transport facility, proper connection of the authorities, they can do the best. And in research and education, if they they give fund to the researcher, so that the faculty members and others also can be benefited by these activities. I think the teacher also need to have some new ideas to make themselves happy and refreshed, because this is really a crisis moment. Everyone is facing a lot of problems in this pandemic. The economic activities are not actually going like before. That's why financial condition is the major thing to focus on. I think we all should, especially the faculty members, also should be concerned about this issue, and they can also get some help from other experienced persons to have counseling to develop their mental to decrease their mental stress, and also other things.
Thank you very much, Munir. This is great, and I think you've given us enough knowledge that will last, for a long time. Okay, so over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Rosado. Thank you, Munir. Dr. Media, you may want to add on something. I see you're a bit smiling. Yeah.
I like the Mr. Munir's recommendation towards educational leaders. Thank you, Mr. Munir, and thank you again for sharing your findings with us. Just add on one suggestion. I think it's good to conduct a research on academic staff and students' perspectives or perception towards pandemic view. But also, I think we should carry on research on educational leaders or educational managers' challenges and give us solution to them. Maybe later you can conduct this research in our new conference in October.
Sure, ma'am. I wish to do some work actually on this leadership, and also in language criteria, or the language of leadership, qualities of leadership, something like that.
That's great.
In my future.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Thank you very much, Munir Hussain. Now, from Bangladesh, we move on to our next presenter in China. He's going to talk about the exploration of enterprise education and innovative talent training model, New Economic Perspective, by Jian Qiang Li, co-authored by Prof. Dr. Icwfh. Over to you, Jian Kyung Lee, as we call him, James. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, panels. Good afternoon, everyone. From China, my side. Okay. Today, I would like to share my research paper. The title here. Okay, the exploration of entrepreneurship education and innovative talent training model, new economic perspective. Let me introduce some information of this paper. In recent years, the network economic marked by the e-commerce has developed rapidly, sprouted a series of new business model and industry forms, which has also promoted the development.
Sorry, Mr. James, would you please share on your screen?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's again, I would say, a part of stress working from home.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me continue. Especially after the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis in 2020, internet entrepreneurship through the e-commerce platform and new media's marketing has become the main trait of the entrepreneurship under the new normal. So the background of this research, one is a slowdown in productivity growth since the global financial crisis and the combined effect of the COVID-19 could have a profound impact on the programs toward the social economic development goals. However, in the dilemma faced during the pandemic, the impact of the pandemic on specific industry is not recorded. So, like the topic of this conference, work from home, there is a chart that we can see that's different type of the position, career. The percentage of the employees paid work from home is different. For example, the managers and the professionals is much higher than the other career. So this is the really significant situation in this pandemic era. And also ICT constraints are more severe in the low-income countries. This is from the World Bank COVID Seminars 2020. Like this chart, we can see in the higher income and the upper middle income, the percentage, this kind of the job need to require the internet and as access. So 1 out of the every 11 jobs in the high income country and 2 out of the every 3 jobs in low income countries cannot be performed from the from home because of the internet access. So we can see the same situation happen in our conference. Another background of this research, for example, firm may stand a better chance during times of the crisis by the company's technological and innovative capacity to adapt. Innovative capability can help firms to pivot to new ways of generating revenue. The development of the internet technology start from the economic transformation. Various new forms of the economic development were born, such as B2B, WeChat business, online education, live broadcasting, and so on. The new forms of the economic development are changing people's lifestyle. They also create more jobs. The aim of this research, this study aimed to analyze the effect of the entrepreneurship education, and the short term is EE, on the innovative talent training model. This study applied the triple helix model of the innovation theory to indicate the importance relevance of the government, university, and industry in the innovative development of new economy. There is some literature I reference in this study. For example, the social capital occurred in the individual enhancing their capability is American researchers finding. And also I used the triple helix model innovation. This theory is in 2000, is also very famous. And also I referenced the institution and organization. Different institution theories will be used in this research. About the research methodology, in this study, the survey design contained a quantitative research source with the structured questionnaire as research tool. It also guides the development of the research objective and assumptions. This study analyzed the effect of the entrepreneurship education on the innovative talent training model, and the quantitative data of 400 senior undergraduates from 3 universities in China were collected by the questionnaires, and the PRS, smart PRS, was adopted to do the proposed data analysis. The research objective of this study, I have 4 research objectives. Objective 1 is to explore the impact of the entrepreneurship education factor on the undergraduate innovation capability. And the objective 2 is to identify the influence of the above entrepreneurship education factor, including EEP, SI means supporting infrastructure, and IE means institutional environment on the undergraduate innovation capability. Objective 3, to indicate the impact of the entrepreneurial social capital on the undergraduate's innovation capability, and whether their relationship is moderate by the peer input, this variable. And objective 4 is to propose a recommendation to the Chinese university of the developing the innovation-driven entrepreneurship education model and enhance students' innovation capability. There is also 4 research questions. Question 1, what are the relationships between the entrepreneurship education, peer input, and the students' innovation capability? Question 2, to what extent do the entrepreneurship education influence the innovation capability, and what factor is most strongly influenced? And question 3, why the students inefficient to get entrepreneurial capital from the entrepreneurship education, and how does the peer input moderating affect the relations? And the last one is, how can the university entrepreneurship education enhance students' innovation capability? Here is the conceptual framework of this study, and this is also from my PhD study thesis. So I just keep update the analysis result and to fit this model. So you can see here from the entrepreneurship education, we have the 3 dimensions, including EEP, IE, and SI. And I will analyze the relationship and influence between these 3 dimensions variable to the DV innovation capability. And also will test the peer input, the moderating effect to how much will influence this relationship. And I use the Smart PRS to do the measurements model of this study. And from the result, we can see there is R square is 0.8 to 1. It means this model has a good model fit. And also there is some data for the result for the structural model of this study. And in this study, I decided 6 hypotheses. So from hypothesis 1, we can see from the t-value and p-value is not support, means the entrepreneurship education program is not significant to influence the innovation capability, but the institutional environment and supporting infrastructure have a significant influence to the innovation capability. And also, I mean, unfortunately, the results of the peer input has no significant influence to the model. I mean, the EEP, IE, and SI to the relationship to the innovation capability. So the last 3 hypotheses is not support. About the summary of the finding of this study, the results show that the 2 dimensions of the entrepreneurship education, including institutional environment and supporting infrastructure, have a significant impact on the innovative talent ability. But the dimension EEP, I mean the entrepreneurship education program, is not significant impact. And the moderating peer input, like what I say just now, is not significant moderate. The contribution of this study, I think for the entrepreneurship education, this area, the first contribution is it has provided new theoretical insight granted in entrepreneurship education. From the perspectives of the human capital and social capital levels, influence on the innovation capability. Second is the developmental approach that focus on the capital advantage and peer influence is to apply in the present study for the understanding and ultimately predicting innovative behavior. This capital, including like the tangible capital and the intangible capital. Finally, an empirical model to developing students' innovation capability is proposed, which has practical implication for the entrepreneurship education and training in China. The recommendation of this study, the future research work should investigate whether the new medium resource have significant influence on improve the capability of students, entrepreneurs in innovation and entrepreneurship under the new normal economic environment. Because now there's more and more students, entrepreneurs, they use new media tool like TikTok, like WeChat, like Room to do the start business. In particular, increasing understanding of the new mediums, e-commerce platforms and technologies may help the innovative talents training and access the entrepreneurial financing opportunities. The conclusion of this study, the current research results show that China's current entrepreneurship education lacks of enough government policy and social capital support, which lead to the lack of the entrepreneurial motivation and lower innovation ability of the college students, lead to the insignificant result in the cultivation of the innovative talents. Therefore, it brings new contribution to the managers and of the college and university. They should take into account that the expectation of the college students in the process of the entrepreneurship are very clean. So establish a very clean model for the cultivation of innovation talents is very important. According to the result and conclusion of this study, I just decide this innovation-driven innovation talents training model, including 3 stages, like stage 1, initiation, and the stage 2 is incubation, and the stage 3 is accelerators. According my teaching job, and I also working in the science part of the local university, it's like an incubator. So actually, this model is more useful for the practice to help the students to get more support and resource capital to start up their business. So that's the information and study papers I will share today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. James from China. Dr. Media, any clarifications, please? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, bro. Thank you, Mr. James. How are you?
Thank you.
Long time no see.
I'm good, Dr. Media.
Okay, your topic is very novel. Is this part of your thesis?
Actually, this is it's not the topic of the thesis, but I just want to publish the new papers.
Yeah, it's good because you analyze by Smart PLS and know that your thesis.
Yeah.
So yeah, analyze by Smart PLS. Okay, robust research methodology. And just one question. Do you know the reason that all the moderation relationship didn't significant effect on your exogenous variable?
Actually, I think maybe there's many reasons, I think, many factors. For example, maybe the question I decide for it is not so accurate. And also maybe there is another influence between those relationships. So according to the previous literature, some of the author researchers, they do state the peer input, the peer influence will change and help the startup behavior of the students. So that's why I use this moderator.
Okay, I can solve your problem.
Okay.
Instead of moderator, is our mediator. I'm sure if you put on the mediation relationship and analyze by PLS, at least one or two relationship will be significant.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Very tight. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Osaru, anything from your end, please?
Okay, I just want to quickly, okay, by the way, it was a nice presentation and I enjoyed it. I also want to ask you, in your opinion, I mean, this is personal now, what do you think would be the next big disruptive innovation coming out of this COVID-19 pandemic?
Actually, I mean, because there is many dilemmas, I mean, during this pandemic era. For example, now we couldn't just travel from this country to country. And also is, I mean, this is a very big damage for the international trade. So that's why now all the Chinese students, I mean, like the SNE, they only do the business in China. They couldn't do any business like before. They can just do the international trade to anywhere in the world. So I think now the most the big trade for the innovation should be, for example, focus on the internet service or the like the high speed, the AI. I mean, like many different field, different area can help the people how to, I mean, continue their study, continue their business without just I mean, like the style face-to-face before. So I think this perspective should be is the biggest need in the future.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for your input, James. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. Thank you very much, the panel. We come on to our last presenter for this international conference. And the last presenter, we are back again to Bangladesh. Hazardous waste management situation in Bangladesh, an assessment of existing legal frameworks and challenges through working from home by Muhammad Abdul Hanad. If Mr. James can unshare the screen, he can start sharing, please. Thank you. Maybe you can just press the stop share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What to you, Mr. M. Hannan, for the presentation? Yes, the screen is there. Please kindly start.
Is it visible, sir?
It is visible. Yes, please.
Are
you doing it from your handphone?
It's okay now.
It's coming up. It's okay now. Yeah, please start. Thank you.
Okay, very good afternoon and warm greetings to distinguished professors, panelists, and respected researchers from different parts of the world in today's international conference. I'm Muhammad Abdul Hannan. My research topic is hazardous waste management situation in Bangladesh and assessment of existing legal framework and challenges through working from home. Paper co-author, Professor Dr. Asif Mahmood Karim. Introduction. The term hazardous waste stands for the waste which causes health hazards and environmental degradation, which bears characteristics of ignitability, corrosiveness, reactivity, toxicity, where they are radioactive, non-radioactive industrial, and medical waste. Nowadays, management of municipal solid waste is a challenging issue for developing countries like Bangladesh. The Lister report states that yearly 22.4 million tons hazardous waste are generated in Bangladesh. During COVID-19, the situation has been deteriorated, like waste discharge, handling our source, collection of waste, transportation, recycling, final disposal are becoming more threatening to both health and environment. Medical journal Lancet states 206 tons of medical waste are generated every day in Dhaka city alone due to COVID-19. Dhaka Tribune article states in Bangladesh during COVID-19 per bed medical waste generation ranges from 1.63 to 1.99 kg every day, where in Bangladesh we have total 654 government hospitals and 5,000 private hospitals. The guideline of UN agency for managing COVID-19 waste from home require technological skill and supports, which Bangladesh lacks severely. Background of the research. In fact, to protect human health and in natural environment, national international mechanisms of waste management are supposed to be analyzed. How far they are being applied. Many countries, especially less developed countries like Bangladesh, are indifferent enough to the principles of protection of environment at the time of managing hazardous waste. During COVID-19, the situation of waste generation has become deteriorated. Like government of Bangladesh distributed 12,50,000 PPE sets to hospitals, which produce approximately 18,70,000 kg of hazardous waste. The growth of solid waste in urban cities of Bangladesh is a continuous process. Our research of ADB expressed like here. In 1991, the generation rate was per day 9,873 tons. In 2000, it amounted to 11,695. In 2004, 16,382 tons per day. In 2025, it will be 14,064 tons per day. After COVID, a report of managing infectious medical waste section of ADB in a survey in 5 renowned cities of Southeast Asia, how the situation has been deteriorated. In Manila, before COVID, the medical waste generation was 47 tons per day, but after COVID or during COVID, it's amounted to 280 tons per day. Jakarta, 35, after COVID, 212. Bangkok, 35 tons per day, after COVID, 210. Hanoi, 27, after COVID, 160 tons per day. Kuala Lumpur, 26 medical waste per day, now 154 tons per day. Like this way, generation rate is increasing due to COVID. Aim of the research. The study has been conducted with a view to focusing on the shortcomings of existing legal frameworks for environmentally sound management of hazardous waste, to emphasize on the development of most contagious waste management mechanism for new emerging challenges of medical waste generated due to COVID-19. Literature review on the content. Antara 2021, not having capacity to manage COVID-19 waste, around 93 main findings, around 93.4 of COVID-19 related medical waste is not disposed properly, where 49.1 people stored COVID-19 waste in the same container along with other household waste. United Nations Environment Report 2020 expressed endangering both public health and environment developing countries as no proper safety measures are developed to manage contagious waste due to COVID-19. ADB Report 2020, the generation of medical waste increased 6 times more during pandemic than that of pre-pandemic period. Rajak, Waste Management in Dhaka City Corporation. The finding was waste management area, treatment area of Dhaka City Corporation, which is more remote, is located 27 kilometers far from the main area of generation, which is in fact a challenging management. Ulukani and Australia 2018, effective management in Nigeria. Environmentally sound management of hazardous waste includes encouragement of treating, disposing, landfill and recycling waste widely for ensuring sustainable environment. Research methodology. The study is a legal, doctrinal, and analytical appreciation based on integrative literature review, critical appraisal on legal primary sources, statutes, policies, conventions, declarations, resolutions, decision of courts are conducted thoroughly relevant to hazardous waste management mechanism. Integrative literature review includes based in country-based studies, local research publication, government documents, academic research, etc. on the basis of purpose of the study. Research objectives: to point out whether national and international legal frameworks are managing hazardous waste are being complied properly or not. To examine strategic effectiveness of the existing policies of sustainable hazardous waste management. To analyze actual detrimental impacts of mismanagement of solid waste generated in leading cities of Bangladesh. To review the national institutional capacity of sustainable contagious waste management system in the pandemic of COVID-19. Research questions. Do the national laws comply with international laws on hazardous waste management? How the legal mechanisms are working on management of municipal solid waste, whether existing policies are effective in managing waste or not. Do the hazardous waste keep detrimental impacts on both public health and environment? How is COVID-19 creating severe impact on existing waste management process? Has there been developed any special mechanisms to manage healthcare waste generated due to COVID-19? The national and international legal frameworks have been reviewed for the purpose of the study. International legal frameworks includes Cairo Guidelines 1985, Basel Convention 1989, 1999 Basel Convention Liability and Compensation, 1992 Rio Declaration, Agenda 21, exclusively relevant to hazardous waste, Chapter 20, 21, 22, the 1990 Code of Conduct on Radioactive Waste, 1991 Bamako Convention, UN Agency Guidelines on COVID-19, Waste Management 2020, national legal frameworks which are being applied with shortcomings in Bangladesh, 3R policy, Dhaka Municipal Ordinance 1983, the Environment Policy 1992, the Penal Code 1860, the Environment Conservation Rule 1997, Urban Management Policy Statement 1998, the Factory Act 1965, the Special Directions of High Court Division of Bangladesh Supreme Court 2010. These reviews have been included in our original articles. Findings of the study: not having coordinated monitoring authority, how the legal frameworks are being applied, exclusively Basel Convention on Hazardous Waste Management 1989, During pandemic, the developing countries like Bangladesh is facing extreme challenge in waste management because of technical and financial scarcity, which is found as the most vulnerable condition. Lack of specialized contagious COVID-19 waste management mechanisms during lockdown, in particular, where COVID-19 waste required to be burned at a minimum temperature of 1080 degrees Celsius for disposal. Not following proper packing, labeling, transporting system for safe handling, storage, transportation, disposal practice of waste as environmentally sound management manner. Having shortcomings of adequate institutional arrangement for hazardous waste management, not having effective coordination between public, private, and community groups to manage waste properly. Contribution, the study, exploration of the poor scenario of the hazardous waste management process prevailing in the country, focusing on the significance of reformation of existing legal frameworks for environmentally sound management of hazardous waste, emphasizing on the development of a specialized mechanism for managing most contagious medical waste generated due to COVID-19. Recommendations. Establishing coordinated monitoring authority for checking application of national and international legal frameworks, determination of key priority areas by governments, and keeping focus on improving healthcare waste management to prevent the spread of COVID-19 is inevitable for Bangladesh during lockdown in particular. Developing well-trained healthcare waste management system to manage waste from home with proper safety by City Corporation in collaboration with the Directorate General of Health Service to handle efficiently the most contagious waste generated by pandemic, introducing national policies in compliance with the guidelines on monitoring and training on contagious COVID-19 waste management system developed by UN agency, developing adequate institutional arrangement for environmentally sound management of hazardous waste, ensuring application and compliance of national and international legal framework for developing waste management systems, maintaining proper and reliable records of total generation of hazardous waste in Bangladesh. Conclusion. The challenges of increasing solid waste are being more threatening day by day, where effective applications of policy and legislation is not being emphasized with utmost significance. Hence, both human and environmental perils are deteriorating. The mechanisms and mode of sustainable waste management, like collection, transportation, treatment, recycling, landfill, and final disposal of waste, are supposed to be in environmentally sound manner. More significantly, during COVID-19 pandemic, the situation became more vulnerable and challenges of hazardous waste management have become more difficult during lockdown, particularly to manage waste, as there is severe risk of being infected during collection of healthcare waste, especially. So that's all. Thank you for patient hearing. Now I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hanan, for the presentation. Dr. Media, to start with you first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hanan. Very interesting topic. Do you think this recommendation that you have mentioned is applicable for 2022? I mean, post-pandemic?
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice question. Actually, I think the problem is ever present and the problem will continue. The recommendation which I have provided, I have tried to include the situation of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19. I have tried, and here is scope to support more recommendation. But I think this will be a bit, if the proper authority concentrate on the recommendations, there are scope to apply it strictly to mitigate waste generation, to manage waste with proper safety, because it's the most contagious COVID waste created. So I think it might be relevant to the proper authority. That, but there is a scope for further recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. I have another question. Do you have any suggestion for further studies?
Yeah, there are a lot of scope to study. Most importantly, in our perspective in Bangladesh, the authority are not much more, accountable, and the management of accountability is not being maintained properly. And to make the authority more responsible, more accountable, to protect the environment means to protect the life. So there is great scope to study, because it's for the country, for the human being, for the human health, and for the environment as well.
Very good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Media. Dr. Asaro, any inputs from your end, please? Thank you.
Okay, yes, very interesting, very, very interesting paper. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Hanan. I just want to, have this short discuss with you. You know, right now there's a lot of adverse effects from what we know or what is said as climate change. Just recently, we have wildfires going on in Algeria, where a number of lives were lost. We've also heard in the US, and we heard of the flooding in some parts of Europe. So is there, this is coming from you now. What do you think about, is there any relationship between how waste is managed and this recent phenomenon of climate change?
Thank you, sir, for your insightful question and totally relevant to my study. Actually, sir, I have tried to include UN agency monitoring report to comply for proper management in environmentally sound manner. So I think it might be relevant to every concerned state who are being affected, the problem of climate change, the proper management, lacking of proper management of waste generated, especially medical waste due to COVID-19, which has been alarming in present situation. Yeah, I have tried to make understand.
Okay, that's good. That because it's very relevant to our world today, and I'm glad to know that it is something that you're considering, and I would also want to, encourage you to continue in this path, and let's see what comes out of this research in the long run. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful suggestion.
Thank you very much, the panelists, Dr. Asaro and Dr. Media. And with that, actually, we have come towards the end of day 2's and the final day's presentation of this international conference from Work From Home 2021. Now, I would like to request Dr. Media if she can just summarize our day 2's activities before we going on to the final closing part of the session. What to you, Dr. Media?
So proud. Good day, everyone, again, and hope you have enjoyed our session today. And thank you for your presentation in the International E-Conference on Work From Home. Okay, to summarize our session today, we had 2 keynote speakers, special address by Prof. Suresh from India, and special address by Prof. Dr. Oyubu from Malaysia. Thank you for your wonderful speeches. Then we continue with the presentation. We had 7 presenters from different countries, from Bangladesh, 2 presenters, from Maldives, that I think we missed that presenter, then from China, from Malaysia, Afghanistan, and Zimbabwe. Our presenters today delivered important challenges, opportunities, and solutions for work from home. And again, thank you for sharing your insightful information with us. But I would like to announce here that in October, we have another conference that I will share the screen with you. Okay. The International Cross-Cultural Leadership and Education for Research, Action, and Change Toward the Pandemic View. Of course, this is a virtual conference, October 8 and 9, 2021. That organized by CTL, Center for Teaching and Learning, Pioneer University Management and Entrepreneurship. The reason that CTL decided to organize this conference is to create a platform for researchers, educational leaders, educational managers, academic staff, teachers, and policymakers to come together, share their ideas, discuss their findings towards the pandemic challenges, and of course, anticipate the solution for future. I mean, for post-COVID situation. We provide very broad tracks for you. Effective technology in the classroom. All of you know that currently we shift from face-to-face classes to virtual classes, and it's kind of challenges that academic staff, teachers, students have faced. Pandemic-based educational research, this is very wide track. You can find out many topics and subtopics to conduct your research about the pandemic-based educational research. Working with diverse population. Currently, all of us teaching online with different kind of population and with students from different countries. Innovative educational practices. This track is so important and significant for future after the COVID-19, that how we can implement innovation educational practices to enhance our education system. Curriculum that works. You know that currently the curriculum that we have designed for previous classes, face-to-face classes, we need to design new curriculum, or at least arrange curriculum that fit the virtual teaching and learning system. Learning science, and the last track is leadership and culture in the education context. These are the tracks, and if you are interested to participate or present your research paper in this conference, these are the dates that you should remember. Currently, we call for paper. You can find that on landing page, or you can, for those that know me, that you can send your abstract to my email. We have early bird registration package for you, and deadline it's end of the August. Abstract deadline 19th of September, and full paper end of September. Just if you are interested, send your abstract. While we are reviewing your abstract and give your acceptance, you can work on your full paper and send it to us. And just for your information, this is not the only conference that we have in October. We have another conference that Dr. Rosalo will share the important date and tracks to you. Thank you. Dr. Rosaro?
Yes, Dr. Rosaro can give us a summary briefing of your upcoming conference.
All right then. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. And another good afternoon to everyone. I will just make this very quickly. So some of us are not left out. We are organizing an international conference that is centered on supply chain management, operations management, logistics management, and materials management. So if you're in academics, or you're a student, or you're an industry practitioner in any of this area, this will be a good opportunity to share your knowledge and findings to a global audience. So the title of the conference is on powering a resilient supply chain during and post-COVID-19. And we're going to be focusing on the challenges and the lessons and the way forward. Now, we are trying to pull together a lot of knowledge base so that the world can see the need to develop better models post-COVID-19. Now, you would agree with me that the confinement measures and the lockdown that has been instituted in many countries by the government has caused breakdown in movement of goods, and this has led to supply chain failures, and this have been noted in many industries. In the medical gloves industries, there have been reported cases of shortages of medical gloves, and in the food industry, beverage industry, you can name it. And this has, to a very large extent, changed our way of life. And so supply chain practitioners, or those somewhat indirectly involved in it, but somehow your job or your discipline is at crossroads with supply chain, logistics, materials management, and operations management, this will be a great conference for you to come share your ideas and network with other practitioners. So we've got 4 conference tracks, and they are centered on supply chain risk management, maritime and transport logistics, artificial intelligence, logistics analytics and automation, operations and material management. And I mean, this is not to say it's a compulsory a boundary. If you have papers or ideas that are closely related to these conference tracks, you are very welcome to come share. And right now, the abstract due date is for September 12th. You're going to be seeing the flyers very soon. So you can start to send in your abstracts and your full paper. You can start to write it. And it promises to be an interesting one for everybody. And even if you don't have a paper to submit, it will be nice for you to attend, to network with other professionals, and also to gain knowledge from the conference. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saro. So, dear participants, you could see that we have our upcoming international conferences, 2 of them in the month of October. So the co-conveners of both these conferences have highlighted to you. And of course, as soon as the flyers are ready, we'll be sharing with all of you for that. So with that, actually, my dear participants, we have come towards the end of our 2 days internationally conference on Work from Home 2021. So I really would love to thank all paper presenters who have taken their trouble, who have taken all the endeavor during the hard time to complete their paper and submit their presentation and be connected here online from different parts of the globe. Also, I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair, who have opened the session yesterday, together with our 3 special addresses from Dr. B. Aishwarya from India, Professor Dr. Icwfh from Malaysia, then Professor Suresh, again from India, who have really enlightened us with their special addresses. I would like to thank all the members of the panelists who were assisting throughout the international conference, Professor Dr. Sudesh, Dr. Media, Dr. Osaro, for their hard work and effort during this conference. That's a great teamwork that we have been putting forward. I would like to thank and take the opportunity to thank our technical support team from Mr. Udaya, who have been assisting us on the technical side, together with Ms. Najila, who has been assisting with the links and the Zoom and the other technical issues. Also, I would like to thank the entire conference team, all the lecturers, all the academic and all the administrative staffs who were concerned with this conference, like Ms. Vani from the finance, who have been there coordinating with all the the payments of the conferences. So I'd like to give a thanks to her as well. And I would like to also thank all others who were here supporting us directly or indirectly to make or to ensure that this conference is a great success. Not to the end, I would like to thank all the attendees, who were really great. And without the attendees, the program is not successful at all. So in these 2 days of program, we had almost 450 minutes of marathon presentation. That is something on the E platform would say was very interesting, exciting. And in both these days, over 200 attendees who participated to ensure that the program is a successful one. To end, I would like to say that I'm really thankful to the management of the Binary University, to the founder, Honorable His Excellency Tan Sri, Professor Dato Joseph Adaikalam, for encouraging us to make such sort of conferences a great success. And beside our academic study, the research work is what the university is supposed to do. So really thankful to him for giving us the opportunity to get this done. And also to Pon Sri Professor Dr. Rohini Devi, so our Deputy Vice Chancellor, who have really given us the platform to ensure that such conferences are a regular event at the Binary University. And of course, our convener for today's international conference, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair, who is in Uzbekistan at the moment, but from there itself, she has tried to ensure that this conference becomes a successful one indeed. And responsibility and duty entrusted on me as a co-convener for this international conference I would like to thank the Almighty Allah for giving the strength and and to all of you to have joined in. And we do look forward for your future participations, and and hope we all get ourselves in a better positions. We stay well, we stay safe, and of course, as the conference theme was work from home, we indeed have to do work from home, and we do look forward maybe either to adopt it as a new work policy, or we really do not know when we will come to work from the campus or from our office as a normal way forward. But maybe whenever it comes to be, this would be a part and parcel of our life that will always complement our normal, usual campuses, offices, or block offices. So it is here to stay, we hope, and we can get, otherwise, so many participants from around the globe have joined in both days of activities. It would not have been possible when it was, for example, a face-to-face event. It would have taken much more effort, time, and other constraints as well. I thank you all very much to be here. Really, it is an excellent researchers carnival, I would say, in 2 days we had. And thank you all, and have a nice day ahead. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And those participants, please open your mic. Let us give a hand to the chair for the 2-day work.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining in.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, all of you.
Thank you.